Well, you don't see that every day. The Chiefs not only come away with another AFC division win, but they shut them out, and that is significant. How they got it done right now on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, friends and neighbors. Hope you guys are doing well after a significant win in a number of different ways. We're brought to you by Prize Picks. You can get in the action by downloading that app today and use that code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups. After your first $5 lineup wins, go get after it. We're going to break it all down for you. Who was locked on in this game and deserves some credit? Who gets the game ball? That's all coming up later. What were the turning points or the key factors that led to this W? But we start where we have to start with Derrick of Chiefs Digest.com. You can find him there or on Chiefs Digest here on YouTube. And 41 is the mic. That's Chris Clark over there. No, I had it right the first time.
You had it right the first time.
AC Chiefs Corner. I'm Ryan Tracy over at NFL33.com and RGR Football. Matt, this was from start to finish something that I did not estimate correctly. If you guys saw our Friday preview, I gave way too much credit to one franchise out in Vegas. I did not expect this kind of total domination. What did I miss? Were there signs leading up to this that they could actually stop this team for less than 100 yards of offense and 3 total first downs?
Yeah, I missed something too, because I had the Chiefs winning this one 31-13, and I have no idea now how I thought the Raiders were going to score 13 in this one. I think this was just a motivated defense playing at its highest level, running into an offense that just doesn't have much firepower. It was missing its 2 most important pieces today. Raiders got off the bus and just could not get anything going. I mean, Chiefs owned this from the very, very beginning. Maybe we should have seen it coming, just knowing that the Raiders did not have Brock Bowers or Jacoby Myers. I mean, those are basically their only 2 offensive pieces. I mean, yes, they've got Ashton Gente. Yeah, they've got another receiver, but hey, if you got those 2 guys and all you can now you can just really make that team fairly one-dimensional. They become 0-dimensional. Raiders couldn't do anything today, and give the Chiefs defense a lot of credit. I mean, they took a bad offense and kept it down, but I guess we should have seen it coming, because this Raiders offense right now without those 2 guys has absolutely no firepower.
I don't know that I could ever see it coming that there's going to be a shutout. Andy Reid gets his first shutout in the regular season as a coach, and he's coached, I don't know he's got over almost 300 wins. Just absolutely ridiculous to think about that. It's fun to see. This defense came out. They came to play. Obviously, not having Bowers, not having Jacoby Myers really hurt this offense. But this Chiefs defense was locked on from early on in the game. And it's one of those things where they played well the entire game. And we're going to talk about locked on, the players that were locked on and who gets game balls a little bit later. But the offense is a completely different story. I mean, you look at that offense, you look at what Patrick Mahomes was doing, you look at Rashee coming back, and really just this offense in general. I was a little sad because I was hoping that they could find a way to get Xavier Worthy a touchdown, because it would have been fun to have, Rice getting a touchdown, Hollywood Brown getting a touchdown, and Xavier Worthy getting a touchdown. But still, you have a 40-yard completion to Tyquan Thornton, so you had a deep ball in this one. And that was, one of those plays that probably was, I thought Mahomes was going to run it, and he throws the ball 40 yards down the field. Could have been a touchdown if he actually had a chance to set his feet. Regardless, this was a dominant win the entire way across the board. Matt, the big question, though, is you start looking across this game and, do we have any injury updates that we can really share? Because that's the bigger injury. That's the biggest, I think, thing coming from this game.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the Trey Smith issue is terribly significant. The trainers did try to stretch his back out on the sideline. That was late in the second half. So it's curious to me about whether or not he might have returned if this was an actual game. Saw him in the locker room. Doesn't seem to be having too many problems. So doesn't seem like that's going to be a terribly big issue. Jawan Taylor definitely could have played. I know they said he was questionable with a shoulder injury, but he certainly looked like he could have come back in. But by then the backups were in. Omar Norman-Lott's the one to watch. That did not look good on the field. He really at no point could put any weight on that coming off the field. Patrick Mahomes and Noel Williams had to help him off. Once he got to the sideline, they looked at that knee, decided they want to take him back to the locker room. He tried walking under his own power. At one point, he stumbled, and that's when they said, nope, we're going to give you help. And a couple of the guys helped him down the stairs into the locker room. He'll have an MRI on Monday, but that's the one to watch because it looks like it could be the most significant.
I hope that it is not. If it is, we will have stuff for you all week about what that means, how we got there, and what has to be done about it. But other than Norman-Lott, Xavier came back in after being banged up, an injury that I think is probably just always going to be a little bit more possible to recur this season until he gets a true offseason to recover. But outside of the injuries, I don't think there were any concerns anywhere. And so I bring it back to what Tomahawk Chapa had, not to sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but are they all the way back? This was a complete win in all three phases, but is this where they need to be? Are they back to what we saw a few years ago?
Well, we're going to find out. I mean, I still don't know if we can say that we know for sure from this game, because this Raiders team is lost right now, and it's not a terrible defensive team. But then they did lose Max Crosby in the first half, and then that made them a terrible defense. I mean, there's just not much of a test there. Today, the Chiefs' offensive line did its job. Once again, I mean, the only real point that you look at this team and say, wait a minute, does this have all the horses is in the run game? Although, interestingly enough, I think they ended up breaching the 100-yard mark from running backs today because Pacheco, Rashee Smith, and Kareem Hunt, I think, finally got there. Took three of them to get to 100 yards. Right. But at this point, at no point this year had the three of them combined for 100 yards. That's the one weak point. And is it masked a little bit because of how much the Chiefs are going to use guys on jet sweeps, and they're going to throw the screen passes, and they're going to throw the balls on the edges? Yeah, maybe. But at some point, and today, I guess you didn't really get to test it because Andy Reid, about midway through the fourth quarter, just decided the game was over and decided to just pile it on in. Didn't really try to do anything to move the football in the last half of the fourth quarter. I honestly would have liked to try to see Rashee Smith run behind that offensive line a little bit just to see what he could do. But they called some just really basic run plays that just and especially down there at the goal line. I mean, just don't Rashee Smith just run into the line and fall down basically.
114 yards for the running backs. You were mentioning that, so want to point that out. But overall, this game was dominant from start to finish, and what you didn't see Matt Araiza on the field until the fourth quarter, other than holding for extra points. And just want to throw this out there because we're not going to really talk about it, but Butker was perfect today, so that's at least a step in the right direction after all the struggles he's had from time to time. But we're going to talk about the turning points in this game, which it's kind of funny because I don't really know there really were turning points, but we're going to try to talk about a little bit of it right after this.
You're a business owner. Here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now average companies buried behind hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS. That's sad. Software delivered as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is a unified platform of global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They helped millions of businesses replace a mesh of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. By uniting employees, teams, departments back and forth in one system, Rippling removes all the bottlenecks, allows you to get the busy work out of the way. The silos that created that software are gone. And right now, you can get 6 months for free when you go to rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. Learn more at rippling.com/LockedOnNFL. That's rippling.com/LockedOnNFL for 6 months free. Terms and conditions do apply.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun, simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing for a touchdown, and you're in the game. I love how absolutely quick it is. You can make your lineup in under a minute. My favorite part, Prize Picks just added stacks. So if I want to ride with a player, I can select their pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns all in one lineup. It's also fun to follow other players in the app and copy their lineups with one click. And the new injury reboot feature If your player leaves early and doesn't return, it won't count against you. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDON for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Turning points in this game is going to be an interesting one to really talk about. I do want to throw this out really quick, though. Turning points in the season for this Chiefs team, you look at that win against the Giants really kind of turned this team around a little bit. Giants are beating the Broncos right now, and the Chargers are losing to the Colts. So that could be changing and turning the division around as well. But when you look at this, and I just have to say, one of the other turning points of this season is how aggressive Andy Reid has been and his different variations of fourth down calls. And I absolutely love Patrick Mahomes in his acting on fourth down saying, this is never freaking going to work. Of course, he said it a little bit differently, but it kind of shows that the aggression that Andy Reid has been a turning point for this season and a turning point for this team. Matt, what was one of your turning points in this game?
Yeah, I can't believe they managed to catch that on the mics for you to actually hear that. Because I don't think it was intended for the entire league, but the entire league heard it. I think it was supposed to be just the Raiders, but A+ acting from Patrick Mahomes. I mean, how can you not say that the turning point of this game just was the Chiefs arriving at the stadium? It pretty much was today. But I'll say this. There were 3 big conversions that this team had, at least some holes that they got out of. On the opening drive, 1st and 20, immediately go to Travis Kelce, 44 yards, flip the field, first down, and that first drive is now kind of on a roll. They had, I think it was a 3rd and 12, I think maybe, that Juju converted there late inside the 2-minute warning. That kept that last scoring drive alive. That was big. And then, Raiders could get a momentum. They could stop the Chiefs coming out in the beginning of the third quarter, opening of the second half on that drive. You had a 3rd and 13. You throw the screen pass to Brashard Smith. And, that's a play that, Buster Hart's, Pacheco, and Kareem Hunt aren't making. Jerick McKinnon used to make that play, but now you got another guy that can. And so those were, I thought, at least 3 moments, any one of them that the Raiders did get a stop, they can feel a little bit better about themselves. And not only did the Chiefs not let them feel better about themselves, they made the Raiders feel even worse. Those were 3 stops that the Raiders could have gotten the Chiefs and then didn't get it. And, gave up points on every single one of those drives.
And that's what it comes down to. I personally feel there were a couple of turning points here. First and foremost was the fact that you lined up Rashee Rice out there. This changed the entire tone. As much as we saw that the Chiefs offense changed when Xavier Worthy came back, it changed even more so with Rashee Rice here. 10 targets today on his first pseudo game back. And yet that was a pre-game change. The Max Crosby injury certainly took whatever wind was possible to blow into the sails of the Las Vegas Raiders completely out of production. That turned the whole thing. But I will say this too. The defense coming out from the beginning to get after it. This is a quarterback that turned the ball over repeatedly. He didn't get a chance here today because he only took 16 dropbacks at this point. 16 passes attempted. But I thought early tone set by the interior defensive line and one player in particular who's been beaten up a little bit lately, but I thought Jalen Watson came out and set the tone early with his play in the first 2 drives, and that was part of it for me too, Matt. What did you think of the defense?
There's defense pitches a shutout. There are literally no notes. What did they do poorly? Maybe a penalty or 2, but even then, I thought the one that Trey McDuffie got called on was really super soft. I think if you call that illegal contact, probably every football game is going to be 7 hours long because there's illegal contact on every single play. But other than bashing the officials for some bad calls, I really didn't think that there was a lot to dislike about the defense. They did a pretty good job. And obviously one thing that they've been struggling with is that they've been struggling getting pressure on the quarterback with only 4. They were able to do that today. Now, once again, was that because they were facing a dismotivated Raiders team that just didn't have any juice left today? Probably. But it's at least a stride forward. And the fact that, once again, how many times have we talked about this Chiefs team put losing teams down, keep them down? They've struggled with that. They appear to have that struggle behind them. And defensively is one of the most important keys. If It's like we talked about, it's been a long time since the Chiefs have shut out anybody. So to finally get that done, I think it's a big monkey to have off the back of this team's back.
So many things to talk about in this game, and really one of the turning point type of players was Chris Jones. Basically from the start, he was living in the backfield. He was just continually giving them trouble. And this defense, when he is able to do what he was doing today, is going to be very hard to score points on, because he is getting in the backfield quickly. He's making it hard for the QB to step up and do anything in the pocket, but he's also really starting to help a little bit in the running game. That's the other thing that really stands out to me is the Chiefs just shut down Ashton Genty. And I know they didn't run it a ton, and they only had, I think, total 29 total offensive plays, which is absolutely insane for an NFL game. But Kansas City had 3 drives that went over 80 yards for touchdowns. They held the ball forever in this game. And that was all before even the third quarter was over. They put in Gardner Minshew. This was complete dominance from start to finish.
Yeah, I think the Raiders ran 3 plays on the Chiefs side of the 50, and one of them was a punt. So it tells you about how that afternoon went for the Raiders.
It certainly does. Now, there are always players that show up when called upon. Who was locked on and who gets our game balls? You're not going to be surprised with one of mine, Steve Spagnuolo, coming up next. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IHS Top Safety Plus pick awards than anyone else. As of August 25, from footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. Like our players, we sweat every detail as well, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Here in FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and you're in business. You can get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across their app. It's super simple. And if you know your first one, it helps you get on a roll without a doubt. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action, when you're involved. It's not just for the casual fan, but if you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes that game day experience that much more. You got to get into it. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel app today and get started. It's at FanDuel. It comes down to making sure that you get all the details right. If you want the details, get to ChiefsDigest.com. KC Chiefs Corner, NFL 33, and RGR Football. All of our other outlets culminate here. And Matt, it takes a team. We know that this team was particularly locked on today, but who stood out to you as somebody that was really focused and locked in more than most?
Well, I think mine was really locked on myself, and I think it's become abundantly clear at this point that if I give a chance to give some kudos and kadoos, as Romeo Crennel would say, to anyone, it's going to be Rashee Smith. And no, I mean, with numbers flashy, 19 touches, 81 yards, no, but the Chiefs have been reluctant to give him touches in the backfield. Today they did that. One point in the fourth quarter, they gave the ball to Rashee Smith 10 straight times. He was the only ball carrier outside the quarterback, Gardner Minshew, to touch the ball on 2 drives. And one of those drives was after the turnover, where the Chiefs and Andy Reid just basically told him to go out there and run up the middle and into the line 4 times and take one for the team. I think with those 19 touches today, and like I said, the teamwork of just willing to sacrifice himself, willing to sacrifice the numbers and just run out the clock, I think that says a lot about Rashee Smith, and that's why I want to see more of this dude. You saw it with the third down screenplay. You've seen it with a few others. He has got a lot of juice in those legs. I want to see what he can do, but I want to see what he can do is not a blowout and is just running out the clock.
Ryan, who you got?
You know, for me, it comes down to using the tools on the chessboard the best that you can. And I liked a lot of what Steve Spagnuolo did. I thought he was locked on the opponent and making sure that he was exploiting it without sacrificing substance. He didn't have to go cover zero a lot today. He didn't have to get after them. He let the front four do what they do. I thought he was creative. I thought he got great games out of Drew Tranquil, who I thought was in a lot of places. The rotation, there was not only a Charles Omenihu sighting today, but a Mike Danis sighting today. He let that happen. And I love the fact that for the first time since week 2, this is the most snaps we saw Chris Rowland-Wallace play high. And I think that's a point to getting playmakers in the right position. My guy that was locked on the most today was Steve Spagnuolo, making the most of his team. Matt.
So I
want Matt's opinion on this real quick, though. I'm sorry to throw it as a curveball. If you picked one thing out on the defensive side, Matt, what would it be?
Ooh, well, you picked the one guy. I mean, Spags had an incredible game plan today. I'll tell you what. I mean, my guy behind the scenes that I would say was locked on, I'm going to go Joe Colin, because he's the guy in charge of stopping the run game, and Chiefs shut it down today. And his defensive line did a great job too. So, gotta give some of those guys some love every once in a while.
Yeah, Colin has been doing very well. The one guy, and this one's going to be a little bit weird, but the one that I'm going to call locked on is Xavier Worthy. 3 catches for 35 yards, 4 targets. Not a great Worthy game, although he did have one other rushing attempt for 13 yards. But he gets my locked on because he recovered a fumble. He was Johnny on the spot, recovering a fumble from Hollywood Brown. And I don't know that really changes the game, but it could have changed kind of how things were going in that game. But he also gave Mahomes a chance on a play where it wouldn't have mattered because he ended up getting held. But he came back and opened himself up and made a tough catch. And then you watch him on the sideline throwing his helmet, thinking that he's maybe even done for maybe even the season at that point. And then the next offensive series, he's back out there. So to me, I got to give my locked on to Xavier Worthy.
I like it. Let's start with Matt. Game ball. Who stood out the most, Matt?
Well, I mean, until he's no longer the front runner for the MVP, I'm going to probably take Patrick Mahomes as a game ball every single game, because right now this guy can put the ball anywhere he wants to. And why? I mean, he's getting a lot of help. Certainly the protection helps. But right now, I think this might be the best 3-4 game stretch of Patrick Mahomes' career. I mean, it's that big. I mean, I know he's put up some bigger numbers in the past, but right now it seems like he's putting the ball in the blade of grass that he wants to. Missed the big connection to Tyquan Thornton, because every once in a while, defender makes a great play, and defender made a great play on that one. But right now, he seems to be seeing everything. Even when he's climbing the ladder in the pocket, he's finding solutions. He's not trying to run first. If he scrambles, but that's not what he's trying to do. And he's seeing things that he hasn't seen in the last couple of years. And once again, I mean, I think that goes back to a lot of the trust that he has in the offensive line. He's obviously got the best weapons, I think, that he's had in at least 6 years, if not in his entire NFL career. And on top of that, I mean, where he's putting the ball right now, nobody's touching it. He's not turning to put the ball over. He's not making mistakes. He's not throwing. Okay, he had one turnover-worthy throw today that the Raiders just absolutely spit on. But
he had a couple.
He bounced back from that one. And right now, I mean, the guy's the league MVP.
I'm glad you brought it up, because I didn't want to argue with you, but I know you don't have a monitor in front of you, but Chris Anderson made a good comment. I thought Patrick was exemplary at letting everybody eat and following EGE today. I think that goes back to the quarterback.
It really does.
9 separate people got a target in this game. That is phenomenal, and something that is just going to get better, I think, as you see other guys get involved. Really quick, before I throw it to you, Ryan, I love the no-look pass to Rashee Rice. But the other thing that is going to continue to, I think, really make teams scared of this Chiefs team was Rashee Rice's second touchdown. That was a back shoulder throw that Mahomes doesn't really throw it with anybody else. And if he's willing to do that with Rashee Rice, this is going to be a very tough defense or tough offense to stop. Ryan, who's yours?
Well, you named it. My game ball goes to Rashee Rice for walking back in, and honestly for the impact that he's had in the room the last couple of weeks, but walking back in 10 targets, making the most of them, fighting through contact, looked like he hadn't missed a beat, in my opinion, and doing all the little things. That's just going to allow this offense to continue to perk. And he even did the one thing that I talked about last week, in that his presence alone allowed Tyquan Thornton to get free twice. Yes, there was a play made by the defense. The other one was a 39-yard connection. That's exactly the gravity that he brings. Looks like we've lost Matt due to some stadium internet troubles, I am guessing. Who gets your game ball?
I kind of talked about him earlier in the last segment, but Chris Jones gets my game ball. He continuously lived in the backfield with this against that offense and getting the sack and forcing at least another play where it was close to a sack if it doesn't look like they gave another sack in this game. So the Chiefs only got one, but Chris Jones was all over the place when it came to pressure and really just wrecked the Raiders offense multiple times and caused multiple holding penalties as well. So to me, I'm going to give him my game ball.
Yeah. And I will just say this, it's not game ball worthy, but it is good to note that this version of Andy Reid, so long as he stays here, trick play and all, seems that they whip those out against the Raiders most of the time.
So mad. I was so
it's
mad.
On film. It did its job.
Yeah, but that was a great play call. It looked so great. And to give Gardner Minshew a touchdown against his old team. And then I'm not going to lie, I was also pissed off that they didn't allow Gardner Minshew to throw a single pass, but that's Andy Reid not wanting to run the score up when he had the opportunity, which I get it, but at the same time,
But to your point, though, that they were well ahead by then, and it kept leaning on the gas to get to 31 so that they were in that position to just run shot and not let him throw and all that. The trick play did its job. It's on film. Teams will have to study it, and they will run it again, and it will work again, and I guarantee you that. But I like this version of Andy Reid. So long as he keeps this going, there's no reason we're not talking about another Super Bowl trip.
I can't remember a time that I've ever seen the Chiefs have two quarterbacks on the field at the same time.
Well, let's hope it's not the last.
I don't think it's going to be the last. Andy is. I said this early on. Andy didn't get in his bag of tricks early on, and at this point, he is starting to get in his bag of tricks, and he's starting to show things. Because I think he's also knowing who he's going to be facing in the next couple of weeks. Chiefs host the Commanders coming up on Monday Night Football. That's going to be a big game. But the bigger one is in 2 weeks against the Buffalo Bills, a team that Kansas City just cannot seem to beat during the regular season. I do think that Andy is kind of looking at this and kind of looking ahead in that regard. So I don't know. We'll see. And I have to say this just because I'm really enjoying it. People keep commenting in the comments. Justin Herbert has thrown another interception, so now he's got two in the game and another one in the end zone. As the Chargers are trying to score, they're down 20-3, and I believe the Broncos are still losing. Broncos are down 13-0. They haven't even scored yet, so can't really say that this is going fantastic for the Chiefs.
It's exactly what you want. Thank you for being with us. Make sure you like, sub, hit the bell, put your comments below. And just like Justin Herbert says, you get a pick, 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 you get a pick. We'll talk to you tomorrow.